Those who remember the sort of messages journalists aired over radio stations and other forms of media like print say there is no doubt of just how much they were the government's mouthpiece and its drive to spread hate. People like Kantano would ask the Hutus what they were doing and why they were bringing shame upon themselves, saying they had no pride and joked about serious matters. They meant fighting the Tutsis. That is what they implied by such things. I remember that when I was Chimisagara, there was a man named Jean-Pierre, a local leader there, who was a Tutsi, and they would broadcast messages saying he was in hiding and should be found. That is what they were saying on radio, just as you would unleash dogs upon a scent when tracking. Those who worked for establishments like Radio Rwanda at the time have confirmed that it was impossible to operate independent of the government and its messages of hate. When the government had properly prepared the genocide, it began to tell journalists that the country was under attack. And that was when Habyarimana died. It sounded the alarm and they said, we must play our part as the media. And that is when things really took a turn for the worst, with messages broadcast that the enemy was known, being Tutsi, and where they came from. That was what was being said. Let me give you an example. At the time, I was an entertainment presenter on Radio Rwanda, playing the most popular songs and so on. In 1987 or 88, they stopped us from playing some songs, saying they were of the Tutsi type. The radio had spies from the president's office and those songs were not to be played. Others who were in the media at those times decided to take a stand against such ideologies and still serve in the sector to this day. And they say a journalist is obligated by their profession not to support anything evil, especially something capable of causing so much pain and suffering. A journalist must separate themselves from all messages of evil and divisionism and choose to remain professional in all they do. Doing so ensures that you do not take sides, and that ultimately helps you. It is a very important weapon, and that is why we encourage all journalists to act in this way. It helped us when we worked as journalists during those difficult times and even later as we served in other capacities. Journalists must not allow themselves to be used by individuals for their own personal gain, who do not have the interests of all people at heart. The Media High Council today knows of 60 journalists who were killed during the 1994 genocide perpetrated against Tutsis. Publications like Kangura, radio stations like RTLM, and journalists like Ferdinand Nahimana and Kantano Habimana were infamous then and are still known today for the way they incited people to commit the fastest genocide in recorded human history.